Well, just before I bring Tom Keeley in again, I'm going to read some of the messages, a large number of them coming in. Pete in Manchester says this: I'm studying for a construction degree, and at the moment we're looking at the structural collapse of the Trade Centre towers. My lecturers agree that the towers would have collapsed due to the heat and failure of the steel connections, so your guest is mistaken. However, we looked at the other buildings, especially Building 7, and all my lecturers have said there is no way it could have collapsed due to the small fire in it. My lecturers believe Building 7 was a controlled demolition. Nick in Belfast says this conspiracy yank is nuts. The buildings were hit by large planes flown by fanatical terrorists at high speed. No wonder they came down. Natasha in SE 19 in London says, your guest is just rehashing theories from Alex Jones's Terror Storm DVD, although it is possible that the 9/11 saboteurs were encouraged by CIA agent provocateurs. And an unnamed texter says, he says never in history has a building collapsed or since. However, never in history has a catastrophe like this happened or since. And James says, George, you should be ashamed of yourself for pandering to the conspiracy theory nuts with this drivel. Are you aware that most of the Islamic world believes no Jews died on 9/11 because they received advance warning? Why don't you expose that kind of sick thinking instead of jumping on the conspiracy bandwagon to help your Muslim pals? James is obviously not a regular listener, or he would have heard me attacking exactly that and many other conspiracy theories over the last few years here on TalkSport. It is an anti-Semitic slur to say that no Jews were killed on 9/11. Many were. And just because some conspiracy theories are nuts doesn't mean that all conspiracy theories are nuts. And Tom Keeley's a respected journalist and broadcaster. He's definitely not nuts, as you'll discover in the course of this discussion and carrying it on in tomorrow night. I don't myself accept many of the points that he's made, but I'll tell you later, probably tomorrow, just exactly the points on which he has persuaded me that all is not as it seems. Inside job, why was Building 7 reported as collapsed 20 minutes or so before its actual collapse? Why would Bush not testify under oath and without Big Dick? I presume that's Dick Cheney. Ryan from Luton, really glad you're discussing this. Brilliant. David says, no, that's on the Ian Tomlinson story. Let's go back to Tom. Tom, go ahead with what you've heard so far. What's your response?
Well, I think it's quite unfortunate. I explained several times, and I'll do it again. It's open to anyone. Go to YouTube and query this stuff, okay? You can see on videotape the people who designed the World Trade Center explaining that they were designed to withstand multiple strikes of a 707. And I'm being called nuts by someone who totally dismisses what I said, presumably either has never gone to the trouble of what I just asked them to do, or if they did, maybe they're the ones who are nuts because they don't believe what they see, okay? A 707 is about the same size and could actually travel faster than the jet that hit the World Trade Center, okay? So it's relatively speaking the same kind of impact and so forth, okay? So take a look at what the designers did, all right, when they built this. In any case,
Building 7, you seem to be on slightly stronger ground, if you don't mind me saying so.
Well, I can tell you, George, nature is, if the top of the World Trade Centers were sheared off, as they were, okay, somehow, okay, nature is not going to send all that weight through the path of most resistance. Okay, it's going to topple over to the side. It's going to fall down. You can see on YouTube controlled demolitions that failed. Okay, where the bottom was broken, but the top wasn't. The building comes down and it stops. It sits. You can see when an earthquake has knocked over a building, it doesn't completely shatter. It falls over on its side, and it's kind of looking like it's intact. Of course, the structural integrity is gone. It's laying down like that. All these people must consider, how does a building with all that cold steel that held it up for so long suddenly come down at free fall speed, or very, very close to free fall speed? It's a physical impossibility. Energy must be expended, shearing off each floor as it comes down. Okay, it'll take longer, and I believe it wouldn't even make it all the way to the bottom. But then again, I'm not an engineer. I listened to almost 700 of them now who say this needs to be scientifically investigated.
Well,
It was not.
I'll tell you tomorrow what my questions are to you, but let me give you two people who are anxiously keen to ask you a question. Here's Michael in East Dulwich. Go ahead, Michael.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. You've got the floor.
Hello. Yes, I mean, I'm thoroughly intrigued by the idea of this commission, the 9/11 Commission report. Thomas H. Keane and an L. H. Hamilton, both, one of them I know is a Republican and the other one's a Democrat.
Right.
But one of my family members were actually killed in the Twin Towers. One of them worked in the South Tower in the Oppenheimer Fund floor. It was terrible that he ended up. He'd gone downstairs to the Colortech Kodak Imaging Center, which turned out to be his downfall. Frankly, he was crushed to death.
Well, Tom, tell us about the commission.
Well, I believe now that even some of the commissioners feel like they were not allowed to do their job. I know of at least one commissioner, I believe, who quit because of that reason. The commission was controlled, in fact, by a White House attorney, okay, who controlled the information and where they were allowed to go. The report had to be a unanimous report. So if one person dissented, that piece of information wouldn't be put into the report, okay? And frankly, I've got a lot of questions myself that the report leaves unanswered, okay? We didn't even start to talk about the Pentagon yet.
No,
okay?
We're going to. There's no time to tonight, and that's why I'm inviting you back tomorrow night. Thanks, Michael in East Dulwich. Thanks, Guy in Stoke-on-Trent. Sorry I couldn't get to you. And thanks above all to Tom Keeley, and thanks for coming back tomorrow night to continue this discussion.